Welcome back to our Friday Zone of Potential Quick Zaps. I am your host, Coach Corinne. This week we'll be touching on one of my favorite subjects, retirement reality. The last 2 weeks we've discovered work, where you are within your career, and job satisfaction. And this topic actually closes the three topical areas that Quick Zaps focuses on. So as we move forward, I'll be delivering content that fits into each one of these areas, but also keep in mind that it will fit into other aspects within your life also. So don't forget about our 2 videos that I did a few weeks ago that talks about trust in yourself and others and your state of mind. These 2 topics are really critical in your decision making before and after you decide to make these life moves. Before we move on, quick note, I'll not only be posting these to YouTube, I'll also be posting it to my website, zoneofpotential.com. It's still under construction. Once it is under construction, you'll be able to hit the links there. You'll also have access to a free downloadable tool called Creating Pathways Within Your Zone of Potential. It's a workbook or a journal that you can use as you're navigating through what you want. And then for the last few weeks, I've been sending out weekly newsletters called Ponders Points. These are for topics that you may encounter during the weeks and make you think about things before you engage. I do take requests, so if you have any requests that you'd like for me to cover in a video or a newsletter, by all means let me know. Send your input to corinne.schultz@zoneofpotential.com and I'll craft something right up. So with that in mind, let's move on to retirement reality. Are you retirement ready? Have you contemplated retiring for a while now? And what does that word even mean to you? Can you see yourself in retirement? Can you actually visualize what it would look like for you to be in retirement? Are you prepared? Are you mentally, physically, emotionally, financially prepared to move into retirement? Have you thought of the impact that you're going to have on the folks that are closest to you when you do retire? And the reality is you have a lot to consider when you're determining whether to retire or not. So what I did was I captured a few things that I went through. I actually had to consider when I was getting ready to retire. But this list isn't exhaustive. This may be, you may have a lot of other topics that go into this, but I'm gonna capture a few. First and foremost was less income. So, are you in a position where when you do retire, you're going to have less income, which may mean that your sense of comfort's not there, but income is going to be a factor there, may be a factor there. Maybe it's not a factor in there because maybe you won't be making less income. Some people don't. They reap, business rewards afterwards and they can still continue their lifestyle that they have. And then what about the retirement benefits? Are you going to receive an annuity now? Or are you going to receive it later? What about the health and dental insurances that you have? Are you going to be able to still use those? Do you have to buy into them? So what does that look like for you? And then some organizations, like I know the military allows you to use their gym and so on and so forth, but you may not be able to use that. So you might have to look outside for a gym or other recreational stuff. So what is that for you? What are those retirement benefits? And then what about your quality of life? Is that going to change? Do you really, love living a lavish lifestyle that when you retire, that's going to change? Or maybe you don't live a lavish lifestyle. You're quite frugal. And then now you're going to be getting all these annuities and you just don't know what to do with it. It can be overwhelming. So what's going to happen with your quality of life? And then what about your relationships? You have relationships at work and you have relationships, within your private life. The relationships at work, that's going to change. You quite possibly bring the quality relationships that you developed, that you've cultivated over the years, bring those friendships with you. And then the rest goes away, but that could leave a void. Your family. You could tighten or even separate, from your family even further. So what's going to happen within those 2 aspects of relationships? And then what about where you're going to live? So are you going to have to, let's just say that you do decide to stay in the job market. What happens if you have to relocate? What happens if you do decide to actually retire and you're going to have your annuities or whatever you're going to have, Social Security, what have you? What's going to happen then? Do you want to stay living in a an area that's high cost of living? National capital regions, very high cost of living. Is that, are you going to be able to do that? Do you think? Do you want to downsize? Do you want to make your house smaller and live in an apartment? So that's something else to think about. And what about your family needs? Are you still putting your kids through college? Are you taking care of your elderly family members? And we've been leaning on the benefits from the companies that have been out there. What about your family needs? And then for you, what are you going to do next? What about you? Have you thought about what's next for you? What new chapter of life that's going to come for you? And then ultimately, there's all what's involved. What's going to make you retire? Is it going to be time? So what I did was 2 years out in the first retirement, I knew I was going to retire at 20 years. So I prepared at the 2-year mark. The second retirement, about 1.5 years. So mine was all in time, and it dealt with age because I wanted to be young enough, if you will, energized enough to continue another career and then also to do my own business. So age was a factor for me too. Work might be something that forces you to retire in terms of time. So that might be, if especially the military folks, right? So the military folks have a time frame in which they're allowed to stay, and then they have to go. They have to retire. So that might be something else that makes you retire. And then in terms of finances, are you financially set? Do you feel comfortable with what income you have? Is that something that, once I hit this amount of money, I'm going to launch into retirement? Are you getting the annuities that you need? Did you develop a nice nest egg that you said, you know what, I can do this? And it covers all your living expenses, it's everything, etc. You have a comfort that gets you to the point that says, yeah, I can retire. I want to retire. And what about maybe you have a medical or dental issue, what have you, that's not quite yet allowing you to retire because you want to resolve those issues before you launch into retirement. What if you have a hip replacement or something? Maybe then you say, okay, once my hip replacement is done, everything else seems to be, in line, I'll launch. How about a supportive family? Do you have, are your family members actually, encouraging you? My husband encouraged me, 3 times. And on number 3, I said, okay, I'm done. And my daughter said, well, it's about time. So, do you have the support from your family? And then what about work after retirement? Are you going to work after retirement? Maybe you have something that you want to do that being where you are isn't going to keep you there. Maybe there's a burning desire that you have. Maybe that's what triggers you to go. I'll tell you, I know a gentleman, he retired me from the military, and he did 30 plus years in the Marine Corps, and then he went government civilian, and now he's doing what he loves to do. He's singing Frank Sinatra in Virginia Beach. It's called Frank Sings Frank. So if you're ever in Virginia Beach area, you should look him up. He not only sings well, but he puts on a good show. I also know plenty of civilians who retire from the civilian sector, and then they turn contractor or even go back into the civilian sector because they enjoyed it so much. And I know another dude who's walking the Appalachian Trail, about 230 miles. So he has a compelling desire to do something. And he loves spending time with his grandkids and visiting with his daughters. So what is it? What are those triggers that would entice you and really flip the switch to make you want to retire? When will you know? When will you know it's time to retire? What will fulfill your need for continued enjoyment and energy after you stop working your job? You know, if you don't continue to grow in all areas of your life, you're going to stagnate or regress. So what areas do you need to spend more time nurturing? Because we all know what happens when you stop growing. And if you're not sure whether you should retire or not, and you just kind of want to dabble in it and figure it out, here's some things you can do to assess if you're considering retirement. First, list what you enjoy doing. You may enjoy going back to that job and doing what you're doing. And if you're being forced to retire, there might be an opportunity where you can actually go in there as a contractor or government civilian or what have you. You may have hobbies and talents that you enjoy that you could either do and donate or volunteer your time, or if you have some of those talents, maybe that's something that you want to create a business off of, and you have your own personal business. So list what you enjoy doing, and then list who you enjoy being with. So do you enjoy being with those coworkers? Is that something that really energizes you and you enjoy doing? What about your grandkids or your spouse? Do you enjoy doing that? And then, are there other retirees that you enjoy hanging out with? What about your communities? Those groups that you're involved in. So who do you enjoy being with? And then identify what opportunities will allow you to continue to feel useful and valued. We've been working these jobs for a long period of time. A lot of times, when we quit providing value, we could lose our self-worth. But if you identify some activities that can help you continue to give of yourself, that might benefit you. And then list what concerns you about retiring. What are your concerns? Are they financial? Are they medical? Are they your relationships? Is it your quality of life? What is it? What are those things that concern you about retiring? And then determine what you know will change. So there's things that are going to change that may not necessarily be a concern, but things you want to be aware of that this is going to change. And oh, by the way, you may want to just share it with folks. Not everybody, whoever you want, whoever's close with you, because they might have a different perspective too. They may pull things out that say, yeah, you might also consider this and this and this. That's going to change too. And then when you do that, list the areas in your life that may be impacted not the way you want to. So as you look at those things that are going to change, there's things in there that won't necessarily be negative impact, but you like them just the way they are. And if you like them just the way they are, and if retiring impacts that, it may not be something that you want to do. And then check yourself. So check your comfort level. Look at your list of concerns. Look at your finances. Are you going to be bored? Are your friendships, going to change too much? What about your location? What about your surroundings? And determine if you still need some planning. And check your family. Sometimes we forget that retirement impacts everyone. Those who stay at home when they retire will need to adjust. And everyone should understand your role and their own role, so there's no confusion on what's going to happen when you retire. Whether you go to another job, work from home, or retire, right? If you have children that are out and about and you have grandchildren, there might be certain times when they don't want you to come visit because it's a high energy time of year that you may not even want to go. So it'd be good to know those things. And then with that, speaking of activities, identify the activities. You may think that the beach and margaritas every day would be great. And to some people, it is great. But to a lot of the folks who have been, go, 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 go for years and years and years in our jobs, this euphoria may only last for a couple of weeks, a couple of months, maybe even just a couple of days. And then what? If you don't have some activities to fall back on, you're gonna be feeling lost. And hopefully it'll be something that you love, the activities that you love to do. And when you determine what will change, you may not be ready for these changes. How will it be to no longer drive to work? I blew by the exit today and I was like, wow, it kind of felt different because I won't go up on that ramp anymore. How will it feel to be able to get up whenever you want? You still get up in the morning time? You're going to sleep in? And then you can work out for as long as you want or as many times as you want? What will it be like to stop spending money on stuff that we rarely use anyway? Or maybe you do spend money on stuff that you rarely ever use because now you have an influx of money that you don't quite know what to do with. And then what will it be like if you're having to downsize, get rid of the stuff you no longer need? So when you do decide to retire and quit that job, don't quit life. Retirement means different things to different people. What it doesn't mean is that life is over. It's merely a new chapter of your life. It's one that should offer you opportunities really to do what you want. Enjoy what's next. What's next for you? What's next for your family? And put energy towards what you didn't have the opportunity to while you were working that day job in your career. Or maybe work another line of work where you were waiting for retirement to happen so you can embark upon something else. What do you enjoy doing? Can you see yourself having fun doing what you want to do, when you want to do it, and how you want to do it? So if you're wondering whether to stay in that job market or retire, I can help you. We can take a look at your retirement needs further in our one-on-one sessions or in group sessions. If you have a group of people who are getting ready to retire, to tackle what it means for you, what retirement actually means. We can jump into the areas that concern you. We can establish a plan, if you like, for you to retire in a fashion that's suitable for you. Or we can, if you're already in retirement or retirement's looming, we can identify what you can do now. Regardless of whether you're retiring now or a few years from now. Now, you should be planning and discussing your intentions and your desires with those who can help you and with those who are going to be impacted. Retirement will sneak up on you if you're not ready. Thanks for joining me today. Please don't forget, if you want to receive my newsletter, send me your email me at corinne.schultz@zoneofpotential.com and I'll add you to my group list. And also, if you have any topics that you'd like for me to cover in the newsletters or the videos, by all means send that too. Until next Friday, no matter where you are or what you do, know that you're always in your zone of potential. If you don't like growing, you'll like the inevitable even less.